Welcome back, everyone. Well, anybody who follows politics, I think even casually, there's two things. One is that we're in a very contentious and really uncharted territory in terms of politics. And the second thing, of course, is that Saratoga County is a county on the move, and our politicians had better be aware of the issues that we're concerned with because we live here. And joining me today is Gerard Moser. Gerard is a candidate, Republican ticket, for assembly person for the 113th district, and there's a primary coming up. So first, welcome, Gerard.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to have you here.
I enjoy being here.
Before we went on air, Gerard and I were talking, and boy, I got news for you, right? We're about half a sentence in, and the word frustration comes up. What's going on?
Well, with New York State, we've been running into this ethics and corruption issues throughout consistently now for a couple of years, and we need to put an end to that. So ethics was the primary thing that drove me to politics, with the lack of representation, where our representatives kind of forgot about us. And they're out there doing their thing, representing a party or representing themselves, but not truly representing us. So they were the driving factors that brought me to this point, wanting to run. I like working with people, and I want to represent people.
Got it. You know, one thing, I think you see it almost in every race, right, Gerard? Yes. But people are tired of establishment. And all of a sudden, people like Gerard are coming up. First time dipping their toes into politics, but with a lot of passion and a lot of feeling for the district and what's going on here, right?
Correct. I've been in business all my life. I've worked in healthcare, and also I've done a little bit of teaching, and I've worked a lot of hospitality. So I've been around people, I've worked with people, and knowing the responsibilities that I have to do when I'm in those types of businesses are the same thing that I expect out of my representatives. So been around the community talking. Ethics was the number one thing that came up over and over and over again with the folks. They wanted some people that were ethical, that they can trust and they can believe in.
Got it. So obviously that's one of the key things in your platform.
Correct.
What are some of the other things?
Well, one of the other big things is creating job creation. Small businesses, right now we're doing all this job creation with these giant businesses. They get these big tax incentives, they come. I'm looking to do something that's more equal for all businesses. Set up a tax a credit for businesses as they add on employees. It would be a limited time. They'd get it for a short period. They'd have limits on, they'd have to hold that staffing level for a certain period in order to maintain that. But that way we're not losing all that tax base. We're not taking that tax base out of our area. We're keeping it in our communities, and we're helping all businesses grow, not just large businesses.
Well, you know what? That's the fundamentals of democracy, right?
Correct.
You know, a lot of people think it's in Washington, D.C. Gerard and I were talking before we went on air. This country didn't start with a big White House sitting in Washington, D.C. It started with a bunch of people who wanted to have small businesses, wanted to control their own lives and that kind of thing. A lot of independence in that thinking, right?
Correct.
Education. How do you feel about the mandate?
Well, when we have all these unfunded mandates, what they're doing is that's just a way for politicians to get around doing their job. So what do? They push it down on local governments, and then us as locals, we have to come up with the money in our towns, in our counties to pay for these things that they're pushing down that they should be able to fund or not implement if there's no funding available for them. Education, we have a lot of students that we're pushing into college to coming up with these giant college tuitions and all these loans, and they have no way to pay them back because the careers that they're getting into don't equal what they owe. So we need to look at students and bring them back into careers that they want to be involved in. I know of a lot of folks that want to go into welding, want to go into electricians, maybe be plumbers, the trades. There's opportunities there. Our schools need to gear to help those students develop so that they can go into careers that they're not going to have a lot of residual loans against, but yet they can get out there and make a good living. I mean, some of them out there today, welders are making $70,000 a year, and that's a pretty good living compared to what some of them are making with a college education.
Well, you know, Gerard, everything that you're speaking to and about really points to that essential of democracy, really.
Correct.
You know, you want to be the CEO of some big company, that's fine. I lived in that world myself. I've got news for you. Owning my own business and being right here in the community, it means a lot to me personally. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Where's the art in that kind of education and tradesmen and establishing a good foundation for the rest of your life, right?
Correct. Yeah. And that's what we want to do. We want to set these students out so when they graduate, they're out working and being successful and enjoying a life. But if you're going to be fighting to just pay debt over and over again, and we know the debt that is growing right now is affecting our economy. So it is something that affects us, and it affects all of us. So we need to work together to make something that's productive productive for everybody that's out there.
Yeah, you got it. Well, you got a lot of passion there, Gerard.
Yes.
And a lot of independent thinking, which is good. You know, we're talking about really a two-party system right now, Democrat, Republican. People don't like either candidate on the national level. They don't know what the heck they're going to do. So even more so, especially on a local level, it's important to look at the person and get an idea what that person is about. So it's been a nice primary so far, right?
Yes.
No mudslinging.
No. We've had no mudslinging. It's been a good, solid campaign. Each of us have been out there focusing on the way we want to run a campaign. I've taken a very business approach to my campaign, going out door to door, knocking on doors, talking to people. During the petition time, I was out collecting petitions myself, knocking on doors, meeting people. And that's where a lot of my information came from and what concerned people. Transparency and ethics is the thing that just continues to drive people crazy, is the fact that they don't know what's going on in their local government. They don't know what's going on in state government because politicians give them those standard boilerplate answers to everything, and they're not really truthful and honest with them in a lot of cases.
Well, you know what? Sometimes we forget who's working for whom.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? And the only way to do that is not to figure out who's next in line. That's a real establishment phrase, right?
Exactly.
But to say who's knocking on doors, who's going around, who's meeting the people, and who's listening.
Exactly.
Right. Well, Gerard, best of luck to you in the campaign.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.
I appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.